I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. The clerk please call the roll.
Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Clerk Chofiu here. Treasurer Horning?
Here.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee McMullen?
Here.
Trustee O'Connell?
Here.
Trustee Petrucci? Here.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our agenda.
So moved. Support. I'd like to make an amendment and remove item 7A.
Which item was that, Kathy?
7A.
In Summer, did you support that?
I did.
And you support the change?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And for clarification, that will be available at our next meeting. Okay. Thank you. Call to the public. Anybody call to the public this evening? Yes, sir. If you'd like to come right up to the podium, that'd be great. Thank you.
My name is Trevor Pites. I'm a township resident, and I understand there's a proposal for gravel roads from Hacker North, 59, Brophy, and around in that area. I fully support this. There's been some issues in that area, with passages. There's no drainage. There's a lot of other issues. Just wanted to say I support this.
Great.
Thank you. Anybody else this evening call to the public? Being none, we'll move on to item number 6, which is approval of our consent agenda.
I'll move. Support.
Motion by trustee Petrucci, second by trustee O'Connell. Any discussion?
Matt Germain.
Sorry. Trustee Germain.
Sound alike.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to pending and new business. We'll start with item 7B, site plan application number 22-005 to amend the 7th Amendment to the Heartland Town Square Plan Development Agreement. We have our planner here this evening. Troy, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is an amendment to the Plan Development Agreement for the Heartland Town Square. The Heartland Town Square, when it's approved, there's a plan development agreement that acts much like a zoning ordinance, and it outlines what the restrictions are for development in that. And just so we're clear, the Heartland Town Square would be where Meyer is located, Imagine Theater is located, where Taco Bell, Panda Express, Bell Tire, Tim Hortons, Culver's, all of that would be within this Heartland Town Square plan development. And when that was originally approved, there were limitations on the number of drive-through businesses that were permitted within that development. It put a cap on the total number of drive-through businesses, and then further put some limitations on how many coffee shops or how many restaurants or banks that could have drive-thrus in there. And a number of years ago, we had proposed a 7th Amendment to increase that drive-through by 1 for a restaurant. And ultimately, it never was ratified. There's a disagreement between Meyer and Ramco, and they could not reach an agreement to sign that. And then recently, we had a coffee shop come through that went through the approval process and was approved, subject to getting these amendments approved. Their attorney met with Meyer for actually a couple months. They were ultimately able to reach an agreement to sign the 7th Amendment. However, they tweaked the language. So we need to kind of ratify those tweaks, which were to effectively allow the coffee shop to occur and they specifically outlined lots 10 and 11 in that development. So this 7th Amendment is very slightly different than the 7th Amendment we had originally approved a few years ago, but had never been ratified, never been signed and recorded. So this will become effectively the 7th Amendment. And of course, we still are working on an 8th Amendment That has already gone through the process. We just can't get Meyer to sign off on that one as well. So what we need to do is just, what I've got here is a revised Seventh Amendment that Meyer, Ramco, everyone has signed off on, and we just need the township approval to do that, so we can go ahead and get that recorded.
I'll move to approve amended language of the Seventh Amendment to the Heartland Town Square Plan Development Agreement as outlined in the staff memorandum dated April 7th, 2022.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horny, second by Clerk Schofu. Any discussion or questions for Troy? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number C is Site Plan PD Application 22-004, Plan Development Concept Plan for Heartland Senior Community, a single-family residential plan development. And Troy, you have the floor again.
All right, this is a proposed plan development for a new residential development. This would be immediately north of the Bella Vita facility. That's a facility that's still under construction. It's just about done. It's a senior care facility. It's also, this property is going to be immediately east of the Heartland Ice Arena and Bounce Gymnastics Center. It's about 9.5 acres on the far back end of that Bella Vita Road, and they're proposing a new single-family detached residential concept plan as part of a plan development. The plan development process has 3 steps, the first being a concept, which is where we're at, where the applicant puts a proposal of a schematic plan that shows, hey, I've got this idea, I'm thinking about doing this. The Planning Commission and Board give them feedback. There's no formal determination made. And then the next step, assuming the applicant wants to proceed, would be a preliminary plan. That would involve a significant increase in level of detail and also cost on their part to put together a package to pursue that. So the whole goal of the concept plan is to give feedback as to whether that project is really worth doing. This project was at the Planning Commission and did receive a lot of favorable comments. So now they're here at the Township Board. Effectively, what they're doing is they have 30 units shown on this plan, 30 single-family homes. They're all ranch style. I believe there's you can upgrade for a loft. I don't know if it's a true second story. You can, the applicants here, they can address that. The design of these homes is a courtyard on the side, so it creates a courtyard that the residents can have. They don't really rely on their backyard to have a deck and sit out on the deck. They more or less sit in a side courtyard, and each of these homes is positioned so that none of the courtyards face each other. They're always on the opposite side of the house. The homes are fairly close together, and they're condominiums where the owners physically own the house and the exterior and the roof, but don't have to care for the lawn or shovel the driveway and sidewalks. That's all done through the association. But in this proposal, if the owner wouldn't have to pay into the association for potentially a new roof, that the next owner would enjoy that benefit of. So they've cut down the costs of the association fees by just focusing on each owner pays for the improvements of their own house, but then you don't have to maintain your yard or your driveway or your sidewalk. So it's a new residential design. They end up catering to, I don't know, retirees or soon-to-be retirees, and they can tell you more on who the market is of the project. So that's essentially the process, the project. I will tell you, when it was at the Planning Commission meeting, received a lot of favorable comments. The applicant did indicate that they just had received, this was at the Planning Commission meeting, they just received their wetland delineation, and the wetland that is shown on this plan is showing more wetland than what really exists out there. So they thought that there might be enough to pick up a couple more units. The plan does not depict it, but they were thinking at the Planning Commission meeting, they might be able to add 3 or 4 more units to what's shown. Also at the Planning Commission, the Fire Authority had written a letter addressing 2 items. One, that these units are fairly close together, they being 5 feet off the property lines, being only 10 feet apart. They had raised concerns about the potential to do a fire suppression system in each of the units. And then secondly, the Fire Authority had raised concerns about a secondary emergency access for this development, possibly to the ice arena parking lot. Since the Planning Commission meeting, we had, when I say we, myself, for planning, we brought in the Fire Authority and the applicant. We had a meeting to discuss those 2 items and how we might achieve the project still going forward. So the applicant's been working on what they might do. They were going to explore some other options. I'll let them talk on that, and that's kind of where the project's at. So again, no formal decision is needed tonight. This is more just comments to the applicant on things you like, you don't like, concerns, what you really like about it, et cetera. So if you got any questions, I'll be available to help out.
Thank you, Troy. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm with Big Development, bringing this project to
You can take a seat if you'd like.
Thank you. To the community, and we want to thank everybody for your time. So, as Troy mentioned, we have gone in front of with the Planning Commission, and then took those comments in, and have made adjustments to our plan. We are now 15 feet apart, so we have eliminated that concern by the fire department. We are currently sitting at about 30 plus still, and we'll bring, we'll finalize some of that stuff and bring that to the board. The second access that was requested, we are still working with our neighbor. So we're reaching out to him, and that was the suggestion given by the township to reach out to them and see if he can resolve that. So we're in the process of working that out, and
Would that be the ice skating rink?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
yep. So that's where we're at.
And would that be like an emergency access?
Yes, so our plan is to, we've actually taken the stub that's short there, we're taking that across because the north exit that we have, or we thought we were going to do, the trucks or the turn radius wasn't enough for them. So this time we're going on the south side to try to connect. They do have, I believe, a light fixture there.
Yeah, so since the development of this concept, we've finished the topographic survey, and now we know kind of what's better going on the adjoining parcel. There's actually a landscaped island on the south side. North is to the left of this image. So, so we were going with the south side because it kind of ran into an island, and it would kind of work better with the parking lot and not take up any of their parking spaces. So since this was developed, that's kind of where we're at with it. So we plan on running the private road easement to the property boundary, and then negotiating an access agreement with the neighbor to provide that secondary access.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions on the board?
I have some. So you're going to have your own private road to get into the sub?
Yes, sir. So right now,
I didn't see that. That's,
So Bella Vita has a private road that was developed for to the county road standards for the potential development of this parcel. So we're basically continuing the county road standard with 66-foot right-of-way, and the road continues north and loops around as you saw. So the concept you saw before was rotated. So yeah, it's just a continuation of Bellavita Drive north, and then we have the road loop around.
Okay, so I see that as a potential talking point when you get to the planning commission, as well as the width of the roads. And the biggest issue that I see on your plan that would be of a concern to me is that where are these residents going to have their guests park?
So the driveway is wide enough to accommodate 2 vehicles.
Some of these older people have families, and where are they going to park?
There's an attached garage as well, and the road is 26 feet from the edge of metal to the edge of metal, so it's actually total 30 feet wide, so it's as wide as any collector, road in the township. So realistically, you could park on either side and have enough room to travel through the center of the road itself. So
That'll probably be another question that comes up.
yeah. We make sure that there's enough room.
I want you to understand, though, I think that this township really needs some subdivisions like this for the retirement people. We don't have really any. We have kind of one, but we don't have any. And I think that this would go a long ways in Heartland. I just kind of wish it was bigger, you had more property, but you don't. So I would be in favor of doing something like this. I would just have to see what the planning commission comes up with and that you agree to.
We did discuss at the planning commission meeting some guest parking in areas, once we finalize the layout, where we may be able to accommodate a few additional parking spaces. We're just still, as Troy mentioned, in kind of conceptual right now. So we have discussed that.
So on one of your slides here, you guys are all over the United States, aren't you?
Yes, sir. So what it is it's a franchise system. We have 160 some projects going on around states. Some of them are corporate. This is going to be a franchise.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to be building the same plans that are being built all over the country.
And where it has the number of units, like this one has 10 in Michigan, is there 10 different developments in Michigan?
There are 10 different projects that have been completed, mostly on the west side, Grand Rapids area.
Okay.
Those were not detached. Those were townhouse type products. So right now, it's going to be 2 projects coming up, one hopefully here in Heartland, and the second one in Lake Orion Township.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Troy, any final comments?
Just, I probably didn't mention, these have a 2-stall attached garage. The driveways are designed where you could put 2 cars. We did talk about possibly providing some parking spaces. There's always that rub between the fire department wanting really wide roads and truly planning narrower roads are actually a traffic calming device. So there's sometimes a conflict between those two things. The fire department likes them super wide, so their fire trucks can get down there, or no parking at all on the streets. So whereas sometimes from a planning, you're trying to create a traffic calming of keep the streets a little narrower, have some street trees to kind of box things in, and it has a normal or a actual psychology to you to force you to kind of slow down and keep speeds down. Whereas if you're on a wide road that's long and straight, your natural tendency is to pick up your speeds. So we're trying to find that balance. We're working with the fire department. As I mentioned, we had a meeting with them. The reason they're increasing their plan, as they mentioned, from 10 feet apart, 5 feet from the property line on one unit and 5 feet from the property line on the other unit, putting the 2 units about 10 feet apart. That fire suppression sprinkler system, they're trying to avoid that. So by increasing giving themselves a little bit more, they're avoiding the fire department requirement of installing a fire suppression sprinkler system in each of these units. That's essentially what they're working around. The emergency access, just to let you know, it is never the township planning department's idea to burden this applicant to go negotiate with a neighbor property and essentially give them a blank check at whatever it costs to get this emergency access. We've given them directions that, hey, do your best job. If you feel the price is too high, you'll probably have to come back and finish an emergency access on your side to the property line, and then we'll wait for that property owner. When they want to do something, we'll make them do their part of that on their side, if that makes sense.
Yep. Any other comments?
You know what, Troy, in the real world, the parking in the garage and all that stuff would work, but I live in a subdivision where the standard is a 3-car garage and not a 4-car garages. And there's so much junk in the garage, they can't even fit their own cars in the garage. So, you know how that goes.
I do. That neighborhood, they probably have kids with bikes and play equipment and snow blowers and lawnmowers. This one caters to a slightly different crowd that really doesn't have all that. No snow blowers because they don't have to worry about any shoveling. No lawnmowers because they're not doing any lawn mowing. So they don't really have all the bikes and stuff like that. So I've been told. That's why they're marketing this.
Yeah, I hope it works out.
It looks like a really nice development.
Thank you, sir.
I'm in support of it. I don't have any questions or
Okay.
any other comments.
Well, we will see you hopefully in the near future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time
Appreciate your
tonight.
time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on item number D, which is the 2022 chloride purchase. And would this be Mike Luce?
Thanks, Supervisor Bowden. What you guys have before you here this evening is the contract, approval of the contract for chloride solutions. As you know, with our gravel roads, Heartland Township, we have them graded and chlorided. The chloride takes place 4 times a year. Generally, we try to hit it around prior to the major holidays, in the summer and spring, summer, and fall months. Again, kind of an anomaly. The road commission is the entity that grades the roads. Chloride Solutions provides the chloride and chlorides the roads. So the contract is with Chloride Solutions. At the time of this, we were actually waiting for the contracts to come in from Chloride Solutions, which I believe we have in our possession at this time. So the forthcoming contract, we do actually have them with us here this evening. So this is to authorize Livingston County to act with Chloride Solutions for the 4 applications a year. Here.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to add, this is probably one of our most unique contracts because it requires approval from our board. Then we have to send all our signatures to the chloride company for their signatures. Then it goes back to Livingston County. And you think this would be a little bit easier because we simply choose the same chloride contractor that Livingston County uses and we could just simply pay the bill. But it's this is a 3-step process, a very unique contract. And Livingston County Road Commission requires it every year. They won't do a multi-year, so.
And another note, they cannot be emailed. It must be wet ink. So they have to be mailed back and forth. So.
Well, let's not wait too long because the last time they graded the roads, it was a little dusty. Any questions?
I have a question. Is there a way, I'm sure, but is there a way that they can maybe grade the road and then spray the road instead of like 2 or 3 days later after it rains and then it gets washboard?
That is the intention of
Okay.
this. We do have that discussion every year with the road commission of that the, for lack of better terms, the chloride truck should follow the road grader.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of control in that aspect of it.
Yeah, I see that done in Oakland County. the chloride truck follows them.
It's happened here, but not in the last,
Yeah, it seems to be getting progressively
Yeah.
later and later, the delay between the grading and the chloride. That is something we are working with on them, trying to say, we've turned over all authority for scheduling to the road commission. Just simply said, you can call them, let them know to follow your dates, so you don't even have to plug us in. We will simply pay the gallon rate. And it's an ongoing kind of struggle to keep pushing them to be right behind, because it's not the road commission's phone that rings when the roads are graded and then not immediately chlorided. So very familiar with that, but we look to continue pushing forward with that. You bring up an excellent point. Yes. Thank you.
We had a motion, didn't we?
not yet.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to authorize the Public Works Director to act on behalf of the township to facilitate the purchase and application of roadway chloride with the forthcoming contract from Chloride Solutions in amount not to exceed $99,750.
Or
Motion by Clerk Schofield, second by Trustee Petrucci. Any discussion? Being none, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. And we have Township Hall landscape improvements, taking some of the areas that need a little updating. And is this Mike Luce again?
Yes. Thank you, Supervisor Fountain. What you have before you this evening is, it's been a little while in the making. We have discussed this numerous times. As long as I think I've been here, we've kind of been discussing this. This is improvements for around Township Hall. We have significantly scaled back the landscaping that we originally had kind of received or had a plan for. This is to, everything that would be going in or be done here would be much more efficient and easier to maintain, along with some of the islands out front that are on the hill, going back to grass that are mowable without having to maintain plants and things. The landscape here is quite deteriorated and is in need of improvement. So this is, along the way of revitalizing the look of Township Hall here, and at the same time, really kind of scaling back the original plans that we had looked at, but making it still feasible to do, along with maintenance friendly for staff to do as well. We've been in discussions numerous times with Sue Grissom, with Grissom Metz, and this is her proposed plan that we're bringing forth and recommending, and looking for, again, the 5% contingency. We're still digging into the ground at some point. There may be needed irrigation repairs and things like that as we move forward with this. Be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
So the drawings that are as part of this were from Sue?
Correct.
So I think we should thank Sue Grissom for her time.
Yes.
And it looks nice to me. I don't know, does anybody have any questions? And Bob, was this our budgeted amount?
So ironically, this is slightly less than what we had outlined in the CIP, but if you remember, probably 2 years ago, this was a much higher figure, and we revisited it and we said, let's dial it back. This is one of those unique projects where if I asked each board member what you wanted to see, we'd probably get 7 diverse reactions. So the thought process was, go to Sue Grissom, she's on our planning commission, we trust her judgment. We went to her and, as Mike said, we just said we need to minimize future maintenance. They're very maintenance intensive, what we have out there. And I think she's done an excellent job, and I thank her for her work. This is a very the lowest maintenance while still striking that aesthetically pleasing look, and it is less than what we have outlined in the CIP.
Yeah, I like the fencing around the generator, so it's not
Yes.
sticking out over there. I'll move to approve Horizon Landscape to perform the Township Hall landscape improvements as proposed for an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee O'Connell. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question or two. You've asked for a 5% contingency for irrigation repairs. However, if you had 5% on the 24,000, it doesn't come anywhere close to 30,000. It's actually about a 22% increase you're asking for authorization for. So, do you really need 30,000 is the question?
Yeah, I would actually say that I would like the 30,000, just to be safe in this. Yes.
Okay.
So that's my area, yes.
You won't spend it unless you need to.
Generally, what we're concerned about is the utility plans around here
Right.
aren't the best, and when we go to put the fence post in, I don't want to come back, or, obviously we would fix emergencies, but if we hit some sort of line or whatnot, or the irrigation is not marked properly. And if you remember the leaning tree Kathy had in front of her office, we still have the stump there, which I don't think is included, so it was kind of, hey, while you're there, can you pluck this out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
My second question is going to be, I'm not opposed to authorizing $30,000, but I'm wondering if we don't spend it all, can we make some improvements to the Hero Center? The Teen Center building has a tree that's leaning into the parking lot that's older than this building, for sure. And I don't know about traffic counts, but there's probably more traffic on Heartland Road than there is on Clark Road. And if we're trying to improve the township's image, I don't think we can forget about that building as well.
So I'll jump in there. We certainly can. This is all out of the capital improvement fund. So whatever's not spent is, I don't want to say leftover, it remains in the capital improvement
Right.
fund.
Right.
Based on what I hear from you, I think that if that's the path we want to go down, which I think is a good idea, we would probably revisit and perhaps ask Sue Grissom, hey, do you mind sketching up something for simple maintenance, and come back to you with a separate proposal?
I don't think it needs much additional plannings there. It just needs tearing out the stuff that's overgrown, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, we can certainly do that. We now have a
Right.
gator.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that would be my only other comment.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody else this evening? And I'm pretty sure we had a motion and a second on that one. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 8 is board reports. We start this evening with Trustee Germain.
The only thing I'd like to report, and hopefully it'll be one of my last ones, is on the sulfur lane cleanup at the old farm on Lone Tree Road. That is a leftover chemical that was spilled when it operated as a sweetening plant for gases that were withdrawn from the ground. And the agreement with the Eagle is that once they reach non-detect in all of the monitoring wells for sulfolane, which they have, they need to have 4 consecutive quarters of no impacts, no rebounds, if you will. So cross your fingers, but we're already through quarter number 1 with nothing detected. So if we can get 3 more quarters, then that project would pretty much wrap up. So,
And Matt, wasn't it some type of bug that ate the sulfolane that they put down in there?
the bugs were already there. They just didn't have enough oxygen to reproduce rapidly. So the system that was installed was a bunch of a well array where they pumped compressed air into the ground. And just like blowing into a cup full of chocolate milk, that's what happens because you're down below the water table. It increases the dissolved oxygen concentration, and then the bacteria eat up the food source.
Well, that's obviously great news. How many years has that been?
They're just concluding the 5th year of cleanup.
5th year, okay. Thank you. Trustee O'Connell.
No report.
Trustee McMullen.
No report.
Trustee Petrucci.
No report.
Clerk Schofu.
No report.
Treasurer Horning.
Farmers Market opens this Saturday in the Rural King parking lot at 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Every booth is sold out. We have lots of great new vendors. We will have this Saturday, plants, flowers, and hanging baskets for Mother's Day, jewelries. The senior center will be performing, have some entertainment there for the market, and they will also be having a sale.
Thank you. I have nothing, but Bob, you had a couple of items you wanted to add on while we're still.
Yeah, thanks
the air.
Supervisor Fountain. Just a quick reminder for the folks at home, this year we are kicking off our first time ever cemetery cleanup day, which occurs this Friday. It starts at 8:30 a.m. It's going to go until the cemetery is cleaned up. We will start off at Heartland Cemetery, but we will have staff that will be going around to all the Heartland cemeteries performing cleanup. We will have local trash contractor on hand who's going to help assist us, Dougie's Disposal. Thank him for that. Just want to kind of remind everybody of that event. And in addition, I want to remind everybody of the Heartland Township Annual Large Item Cleanup Day, which is May 21st at the Heartland High School from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
This ends our regular portion. We're going to take a brief recess and go into information and discussion. This evening, we're going to have Bob's manager's report. Second one will be Heartland Roads update. And number C is fire station needs assessment. So with that, we'll take a brief recess and then we'll get started.
Try and see. Do you want to move over here for this? It'd be a little bit easier for the fire and the road.